All right, good morning. My name is Mrs. White. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Texas City High School. So this is your sophomore class of 2025 meeting. So we're just going to go over some campus expectations, go over some graduation, things that have changed, things that we want to bring your attention to moving forward as you become upperclassmen, okay? All right, so the mission and vision of Texas City High School. So we'll start with the mission. Texas City High School will create a positive culture for every student and practitioner to grow and learn. And our vision is to cultivate the next generation of leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, which is you guys. So we want to make sure you have this information. So you're welcome to take pictures of anything that's on the screen if you would like, if you need the information. So our building principal is Mr. Hippolyte. That's his phone number and email. We also have a dean of instruction, Mrs. Williams, and 4 assistant principals. So the assistant principals are divided up by last name alpha. So Mr. Hall is A through FLE. Mr. Graham is FLI through L. Mr. Temple is M through RIT. And I'm Miss White. My alpha is RIV through Z. So that's all of our contact information here on campus, as well as our emails if you need to reach us. So Mr. Hall and Mr. Graham are downstairs in the office by the cafeteria. Mr. Temple and I are upstairs in the office with the glass, okay? So across the street at our ITC, or our Industrial Trade Center, we do have 2 administrators there as well. This is their information. So Mrs. Kopp is the CTE director, and Mrs. Caldwell is our CTE coordinator. So if you haven't had classes there or may in the future, this is their information. So along with administrators, we have 4 counselors on campus. So they are divided up the same way by last name alpha. So Mrs. Davis, Mrs. Bouchel, Mrs. Chambers, and Mrs. Owens are the alpha counselors. And we have a 5th counselor, Mrs. Joseph, who is our college and career counselor, okay? If you have a picture ID, if you are unaware of whose alpha you are in, on the bottom of your photo ID, there are 2 names. It probably says, if you're in my alpha, RIV through C, it says Owen/White, Counselor AP. Okay? It might say Chambers/Temple. So the information is printed on your ID if you ever forget. Okay? All right. The expectations we have for you as a student here at Texas City High School. We want you to be prepared, to be well groomed and dressed appropriately, to attend all of your classes on time, to be actively engaged in those classes, demonstrate courtesy and respect for all other students and staff, adhere to all campus and classroom rules and policies, and at all times represent Texas City High School with class and character in the community. All right, so here is an example of a bell schedule. So as you know, this says A lunch on top. We have A, B, and C lunch. 3 lunches. You only go to 1, right? Not 2 or 3, the 1 you're assigned to. So this is an example of a bell schedule for an A lunch. So it shows you that lunch is in between 4 and 5. The only exception to that is if you have B lunch, it splits 5th period as you guys all attend. So you can see our classes are 47 minutes apiece, and those passing periods are 4 minutes. So make sure in the next couple of days that you're really learning your schedule, learning where your classes are, so that if you need to take care of any business in between that passing period, that you have 4 minutes to take care of whatever you need to and get to your next class on time. So Canvas. So Canvas is the online platform that we use here in Texas City ISD. Each teacher delivers their instruction, and their Canvas pages are going to look a little different. So you should have been to all of your classes by now, so your teachers, if they haven't, they will go over Canvas and how they use it in their classroom. Please make sure that you are checking this based on the teacher and the class and submitting your assignments there. If you're having specific trouble with Canvas, start with the teacher first, and if not, then they can walk you through having a technology request put in to make sure that we address any of your technology issues so that you have access to Canvas for each of your courses that need it. All right, so you were all sophomores, so you finished your freshman year, so we just want to start having you think about a graduation plan. So we want you to start and finish in the 4 years. So this is a sample graduation, a four-year graduation plan, which outlines for you the academics at the top, the English, the math, the science, and social studies. It also outlines the other things that we need you to take in order to earn those 26 credits to graduate under a foundation plan. So as you can see, there are electives, foreign language, fine arts, as well as PE and athletics. And we'll talk about those a little more in a few slides. So, a filler period. So this doesn't apply to you now, but like I said, we want to make sure that you have this information before it does apply to you, so you know the expectations that we have for you once you reach this point. So, the criteria to obtain a filler period. You must have passed all of your STAR EOCs. There are 5. As freshmen, you sat English 1, Algebra 1, and Biology. That means you have 2 left, English 2 and U.S. History. Those must be passed in order to obtain a filler period. The other criteria are that you must be on track for graduation. That includes all of your endorsements. You must be eligible to meet criteria to be considered college and career ready. You must have transportation to leave campus during a filler period. That's a big one, okay? You may not have any more than 10 absences in the previous 2 semesters combined. Say that again. No more than 10 absences in the previous 2 semesters combined. Okay? So this is why we're telling you beforehand. We want you to know this before it becomes a requirement that you can't meet to get a filler period, okay? All right. You must also have no major disciplinary issues, level 3 or above, and you may have no uncleared obligations. That includes anything from the library, any technology fees, all of it. No uncleared obligations, okay? Credit recovery. If you have been here or maybe have older siblings or friends. So we want you to know the change in credit recovery. So a student who fails a course with a grade lower than 60 will not be enrolled in credit recovery. The student will resit the course. Okay? So please do not depend on credit recovery. So if you do not take care of business and do everything you need to get your credits for English 2, we will not enroll you in credit recovery. Next year you will take English 2 again and English 3, which is not what we want, but we need you to resit that course. So make sure you're taking care of everything you need to in the courses you're currently in. All right, so course selection. So as we talked about a minute ago in the graduation plan, so here's a more detailed list, a little bit easier maybe to read. So in order to gain those 26 credits to graduate under the foundation plan, you'll see you need the 4 in all of your core academics. Again, the 1 PE or athletic period, maybe if you're involved in a sport or something, you can have more than 1 credit. The language other than English is the same thing as a foreign language. You need 2 credits. Fine arts, 1, and then elective 7. So on the bottom, please make sure you understand changing electives will affect those endorsement paths of completion. We want to make sure that as you get into your upper levels, now that you're sophomores, you're taking the right courses for electives in order to take those prerequisites to get into the further and the advanced electives that are in your graduation path and endorsement, which we'll talk about here in just a second. All right, so we do have 5 endorsements that you have to select from. Those are STEM, Business and Industry, Public Services, Arts and Humanities, and Multidisciplinary Studies. So this is something that you will select, and then the counselors will help guide you as you make course selections from here moving forward to make sure that those electives do fall into these endorsements so that we can have you graduate on the right path. If you're uncertain of what your endorsement is or you want to change that, that's a conversation that you would need to set up an appointment with your counselor and maybe have that discussion, okay? So, along with the courses that you are required to take, some of those have advanced course types. And so some of the things that we offer here at Texas City High School, we offer a COM dual credit courses. We offer UT on-ramps dual credit. We offer those advanced placement or those AP courses, and then advanced classes. So if you have not already, then there are contracts for those AP or those advanced courses that you'll sign that just state the expectations that are specific to those courses. Ms. Norton, you want to add anything on those? Okay. All right. Just know that there are expectations in these classes, so.
There's a contract.
Yes, correct. So there is a contract for these classes like we talked about. So that's something that the teachers will go over with you, and that we want to make sure that you understand that these courses are more rigorous and that we want you to participate in them, but there are expectations for them, okay? So GPA and weight. So this may not be something that you have to be completely concerned about right now, but we want to bring it to your attention. So when we calculate your GPA, we do it at the end of every semester and at the end of every school year. Your GPA is weighted differently based on the course, some of the courses that you're in, but this also helps us to determine your class rank. This starts your freshman year. So we want to make sure that you understand that it's all 4 years. So every year counts, every semester counts, and every class counts. So just remember that as you're putting forth all these efforts in your class, that we want you to do your best because it will affect your grade point average or your GPA. Attendance. Regular school attendance is essential for students to make the most of his or her education. Absences may result in a serious disruption of student mastery of instructional materials. And if a student incurs more than 10% of absences, the student will not receive credit for the course. Okay? Please understand that this is a state law. It requires students to attend school at least 90% of the days that the class is offered. Okay? And that if you receive more absences than is allotted to you, then there could be truancy court that has to be addressed because of your absences. So, for instance, if you're in your English 2 class right now, and let's say for the semester in the fall you make a 90, you've passed the course, but you have 22 absences, you will not get credit for that class, even though you've passed it. You have to have the grades and you have to have the attendance. They go together, they go hand in hand. Okay? So we not only need you to do the work, but we need you to show up every day. Okay? So, attendance and tardies. So what is an excused absence? So excused absences are not counted against you when we talk about those number of absences that you can or can't have in order to receive credit. So an excused absence could be a doctor's note, but it must be received within 3 days of the time that you were absent. Okay? Funerals for immediate family members are also an excused absence. Okay? Truancy. Truancy is the intentional absence on or off campus without permission. So, if you're supposed to be in Miss Norton's English class, but you're in the hallways, you're truant. If you are supposed to be with Miss Wainscott and you're in the restroom and not in her class for the entire period, that's considered truancy. Okay? If you leave campus in the middle of 3rd period, that's truancy, okay? So we want to make sure you understand what we're talking about when we say you're truant, okay? So that's why it's so important that we need you to be in the class, in the assigned class, on time, and for the entirety of the period. Tardies. So 10 or more tardies will equal ISS or in-school suspension and possibly DAEP. So again, we talked about that 4-minute passing period. So make sure you know your schedule well and you can get from your 1st to 2nd, 2nd to 3rd in those 4 minutes and take care of whatever you need to in between. Attendance contracts. So your assistant principal, if you're in need of an attendance contract, will probably start those next week. So if you are in need of an attendance contract due to credit denial, then we will meet with you individually to go over what an attendance contract is, and we will offer that to you and we will sign that. And then you will possibly be able to have some of those credits reinstated from your freshman year if that's necessary. So we will walk you through those on an individual basis, but just know that that's an option, but we want to make sure that we maybe don't even get to that option. We want you to be here every day on time, okay? Oops, sorry. Our 10-10 rule. So if you are new or it hasn't been explained to you yet, our 10-10 rule. So you are not allowed to leave your class the first 10 minutes of that period or the last 10 minutes of that period, okay? We want you in the class, receiving that instruction, receiving those directions from your teacher, from whatever they need for you. So that 10-10 rule still applies. All right, one of the big ones is the VOE, the verification of enrollment. So for those of you who are getting ready to maybe do driver's ed or drive and you need your driver's license, this is something that's required by the state of Texas, by the Texas Department of Public Safety or DPS. So this is for students ages 16 to 18 that want to obtain their driver's license. So you will get a VOE or a verification of enrollment form from your assistant principal's office. We will fill that out for you, but I want to make sure you understand that this is something that you have to meet criteria for. So that very last sentence will tell you, to receive your VOE, you must have a 90% daily attendance rate in the previous semester when requesting a VOE. So if you're in my alpha and you come to my office and you need a VOE signed because you want to get your driver's license, I'm going to have to go and pull your attendance from your freshman year spring semester. Okay? So know that we have to check your attendance before we can sign this for you. Okay? If this is something you don't maybe need till the spring of this year, we're going to pull your attendance from this entire fall semester. So just know that's what it means by previous semester. Okay? And also you need to give a couple of days for this to be completed, so the sooner you can get to your assistant principal and request this, we can get it back to you, but it probably won't happen same day. So the sooner you can get this filled out to us, it gives us more time to get it back to you. All right, facilities and access. So before and after school. In the morning, you're allowed to come through the front doors. You're allowed to come through the back doors. Doors open at 6:55. From 6:55 to 7:10. We ask that you remain in the cafeteria, the reef, and the common area downstairs only. You will not be permitted through the hallways or into classrooms without a pass. If you're in a club or organization, they should give you a pass that you're welcome to put into your ID and show that to whoever's monitoring the hallway so that they can let you in to the meeting or the classroom that you need to get to. After school, when the bell rings at 2:50, we ask that you exit the building promptly. Again, through the front doors or through the back doors by the buses. If for some reason you have detention, after school detention, it begins at 2:50. It releases at 3:20. Okay? If you also happen to be assigned Saturday school, that's held here on campus. That starts at 8 a.m. and is over at 12 p.m. Okay? Please also note that conduct before and after school is still governed by the Student Code of Conduct. Student IDs. They must be worn on a lanyard around your neck at all times. You will need this ID to purchase event tickets at a student price. This student ID is required at all athletic events. So we had a volleyball game last night. If you wanted to attend, you just need your ID. We have our first home football game this Friday. If you'd like to attend, you must wear the ID around your neck on a lanyard. Okay? This ID is also required for you to enter the building and the classrooms. It's required by the nurse to see her at the library. It's required to be served breakfast and lunch. If you lose it, it's $10 to replace. If you refuse, it could result in disciplinary action. So, put it on and leave it on, please. Stadium and athletic event expectations. We want to make sure you know this ahead of any events because they're getting ready to start. So, a student must have a current Texas City High School ID in order to sit in the student section. You must still be in dress code. You must be respectful of all the athletes, our athletes as well as any opponent athletes, as well as the fans and spectators from both sides. And you must cheer for Texas City High School at all times. Headphones and cell phones. Okay? You are allowed to have your headphones and cell phones out during passing periods and during lunch. However, upon entry into any classroom, they are to be put away. The only exception to that is if your teacher specifically asks you to take your phone out for any sort of activity that they may have planned, and that's the teacher discretion. Headphones, again, in the hallways, it's still a one in, one out policy. We need you to be able to hear us and anything that we need to let you know in case there's an emergency situation. Failure to comply with this directive will result in a $15 fine and confiscation, and failure to adhere to the cell phone policy will result in SAC or in-school suspension, a $15 fine, as well as confiscation. Vapes, Juuls, and e-cigarettes. Leave them at home. Okay? First offense, parent contact, 2 days of SAC, referral to the SLO. You will not get the device back. Second offense, parent contact, 5 days of SAC, referral to the SLO. We will not give you the device back. Third offense, DAEP. Please note in red at the bottom, liquid THC. Okay? When we confiscate these, when it says referral to the SLO, they can be tested and checked. If you have liquid THC in a vape in your possession on campus, it could be felony charges. Please do not do that. Please leave them at home. Okay? This is assessed by the Galveston County Sheriff's Office and will result in removal from the campus to DAEP or TDCJ. If you happen to be given ISS or in-school suspension, the same code of conduct applies. You must be in dress code. You must be on time or time could be added. No candy or gum. No electronic devices. You must complete all the work that you are assigned to be released. You must have your school issued device, so your computer, so that you can complete work that your teacher may have assigned to you on Canvas. There is no sleeping. Your work must be finished in its entirety during that time, and you must work the entire time that you were in ISS. Any violation of these rules could lead to out-of-school suspension or a repeat day of ISS. So, we don't want you in ISS, but if that's the case, these are the rules. Please do whatever you need to do while you're there so we can get you back to class. Dress code. Okay, hoodies are allowed to be worn, but the hood is not. Okay, leave the hood off your head, please. Okay, we're going to ask you to remove it off of your head. If you can't comply, we're going to ask you to turn the hood into the AP's office, and your parent will be contacted to pick it up. You are allowed to have holes in your jeans, but they must be below the knee. Hats are not allowed. If we ask you to take it off and you don't comply, we're going to ask you to turn it into the AP's office, and parent will be contacted for pickup. Logos and themes on any t-shirts, pants, leggings, jackets, hoodies. They must be school appropriate, so no profanity, no nudity of any kind. Ladies with the leggings, they're allowed to be worn. Something with length must be worn over them to cover the rest of you, please. Tattoos are appropriate and can be shown in school, but they must not have, again, any profanity or anything obscene. If that's the case, we are going to ask you to cover your tattoos. Laptop checkout. This is going to happen during your science class if it has not already. Please make sure that you are responsible for your laptop so that you don't end up with any obligation due to a lost or stolen device. If you do lose it or it is stolen, you need to report that to your assistant principal immediately so that we can address the situation. Parking permits. If and when you are ready to drive and park a vehicle on Texas City High School campus, the parking lot for students is going to be the one in front of the library. Right now it is open parking. It will be restriped and numbered. If you get a parking permit, it will have a number. There will be a number in the parking spots. You need to park where your numbers match, please. It hasn't been done yet though, so right now it's still open parking. In order to get a parking permit, you must have a valid driver's license and proof of insurance to be able to park here. You can request the parking permit up front with Mrs. Fuller, and it is a $10 fee. Okay, you may receive a parking permit as long as there is space available. Okay, however, if you do park here on campus, you may not speed, double park, park across a white or yellow line, park in a fire lane. You may not sit in your parked car during school hours. You could be subject to disciplinary action if you do so. And again, the district may tow vehicles that are parked in violation of any of these stated rules, okay? And lastly, so you guys can get to lunch, there is a Remind 101 that is specific to you guys, the class of 2025. If you would like to join this, you're welcome to send a text to that number. You can do it later if you want to take a photo of it now. So text that number 81010 with the message below, and you will get updates. We will push information out to you. It could come from the counselors, Mr. Hippolyte, assistant principals. So this is just another way for us to communicate announcements with you guys. We'll also make those announcements here on campus, but we want another way to connect with you. So if you want to take a picture of that, you're welcome to take your phones out. And that is all we have. If you have any questions, I will be here. If not, I know you guys have lunch.
When the bell rings,